Hey,
Holy
it says
crap.
live.
Hi, is this live?
It's
If it is, and I don't know if you can hear this, but can you hear this? No, you can't hear this.
Yes.
I can hear it. It sounds like it's in a can.
Well,
There's Rocco.
What's up, guys?
ladies and gentlemen,
You're still on Warren Zevon?
well, the name of this episode
playing it for a
is
half hour
Shit
straight.
Has Hit the Fan.
Half hour
So-
straight.
Anyhow, we'll save that for later. We'll save the rest of the song for later. I just want to say, welcome back to High Yanxiety. I am normally your host, Chris Vitali, but Deb Seymour is going to take that away from me today because I'm too angry. Ladies and gentlemen, Deb Seymour, how are you?
Hi there.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, I know you're angry. I've heard about it the past couple hours.
Oh my God Almighty, Wayne Franklin, your favorite player and my favorite player, has now the shit has hit the fan, and now he's the hitting coach for the Toronto Blue Jays of all people. How are you? That's all I needed to know.
Sick.
I know. And Rocco Constantino, our resident Mets fan, is here to laugh at us and wallow in our misery. Yeah, you son of a bastard.
Hey, you guys stole Jesse Barfield from them, Tony Fernandez. I'm sure I could go down the list.
You really think this is fair? Tony Fernandez?
No.
That's not relevant.
That is totally unfair.
Vernon Wells, too, but you're not going to say that
Well,
one.
there you
That's
go.
right. Very well. While we're at it. But anyway, we're not going to start with Don Mattingly. And by the way, Don Mattingly, bench coach, right? Not hitting coach.
Bench coach.
Bench coach. I'm an idiot. I said hitting coach.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with something simple. How important was it for the Yankees to have re-signed Anthony Rizzo? Which is the only obvious move they've made so far, so we might as well give it a couple of minutes.
Can I answer that one?
Go for it.
I think it was huge, and I think that was the best move that they could have made at first base because you know what? The guy's a winner. The guy has proven that he can play in New York. The fans love him. He's great with the entire fan base. The guy's a winner. His name is Rizzo. We love him. Plus, I'm selling Italian shirts. I got to do something. No, look. Honestly, I think he was. I mean, he's a great glove. He's a lefty. He's shown he can hit in the clutch. He's done everything right since he's been a Yankee. I think that's a huge move. And for 2 years, how can you pass that up? Who else are you going to get? You're going to get, look, I understand the Astros went and got Jose Abreu.
Right.
Yankee fans wouldn't like Jose Abreu. They
Crazy.
love Anthony Rizzo. Look, he's not going to hit for 330, but he might hit for 290 with the shift being gone.
Could be.
I think he could, and he's got that power, and I think he's endeared himself to Yankee fans, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So I do believe Anthony Rizzo was the right move at first base. Wayne, I'm going to go to you now.
First base, yeah. I mean, you can't have Freddie Freeman. You may as well have
Well, that's the thing.
Rizzo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of intangibles. I think still, your layperson baseball fan isn't gonna. They're not gonna understand what that totally means. They'll understand some of it, but the effect of something like that is huge, and he has a lot of intangibles. Now, just keep him healthy for the entire year, and not when we really need him get hurt. So.
Wow, that's been the bugaboo, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely a factor.
Rocco, I know you don't give a shit about what the Yankees do. But yeah. Sorry, Deb.
No, still,
Rocco.
I'm just in the corner. I forgot.
Hey, Deb's the host. Yeah,
I know. I'll figure it out.
My simple perspective is it had to be done. It's a smart move. He's been a perfect Yankee since he's got here. He's just a perfect fit for everything the Yankees stand for. So, had to be done. Good job getting on that early.
And I think it was probably, at least in part, a move to motivate Judge to stay with the Yankees, which we will get to. Actually, let's talk about that right now. So, what do you all think is going to happen with Aaron Judge? We know he's had some hard sell tactics from the Giants. We know the Dodgers have been in the mix. For all we know, there are other teams in the mix that have not been publicly named. What are your predictions?
Who? Because I don't want to start because I won't shut up. I
won't
won't shut up. So yeah.
I'll go for it.
All right. I'm quick with these stuff. So I think he's going to end up in New York. I didn't maybe, a month or so ago. I wasn't, as sure as I am now. I kind of think, a lot of these teams now have eyes for Ohtani next year and might not be so, quick to spend so much money on Judge. I haven't seen anything with the Yankees linked to Ohtani. I think they work things out. I know he's a California guy, Northern California, and the Giants are interested for sure. But when all's said and done, I think he ends up back in New York.
Yeah, I mean, the understanding is that the Giants have had members of their other teams of the San Francisco, it was other sports teams speak with him and had some pretty hard sells from other members of their own team. And we do know that he's sort of local to that area, at least to some extent. So that's probably a factor, and it comes down to more than just money. If being local to the area in which he's playing is a factor for him, but I think there are other issues at stake as well in terms of the ability to compete, the ability to win a championship. Even if he's given 8 years, everybody knows you're sort of at the waning end of your career in the last 4 years of that. Do you want to be able to win a championship within the first 4 years of your 8-year contract? Wayne, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in New York. I just think he's comfortable there. He knows how to hit there. He knows all of his teammates. He knows they're going to be in the hunt every year. He's absolutely marketable. Maybe the face of baseball in the greatest city on earth. I don't know why you'd want to pick up roots and go back to California just because you were born there. I'm from the East Coast, but I don't live there now. So,
well, you live in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, so my question to you would be, my question to you would be, do you really think, and Deb, you said, okay, guys from different sports are trying to kind of hamper. Whatever. I know it's not tampering.
It's not tampering.
But I know, of course it's not. But do you really think like Deebo Samuel or Jimmy Garoppolo is going to convince him to come play in San Francisco? It's
no. I don't think
he's not going to go.
And Deb, like you said, those first 4 years are huge for his contract. For winning. And I think the other 4 is a bonus because they should have paid him after his rookie year when he won Rookie of the Year, gotten past this free agent year, and then he would have still had several more years to sign another contract. Yeah. And maybe there wouldn't have been so much crap going on right now, but they could have extended him during this season, But that's what that's for. The last 4 are going to be for that if he gets 8 years.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, and it's also, the other big contract that's going to hit the market in a couple of years is Juan Soto. So we have Ohtani coming up and we have Soto coming up. Part of what's happening with Judge is setting the bar for those kinds of contracts. So we can assume, I think, that by the time Judge is signed, no matter where he signs, he's going to be the benchmark for what the wealthiest player in baseball is going to be earning. And the question is whether somebody like Ohtani or Juan Soto can exceed that. So the Players Association is a factor here too, because I'm sure there's plenty of pressure coming from them with respect to all of these players who are on the market right now, Correa, others who could land very large contracts in terms of the benchmarks that they could set for other players going forward. And Chris, I see that you are sort of chomping at the bit. So
I am. Well, that's something to add, and I'm glad you brought it up. And Rocco, actually, you brought it up as well. Now, so there is a pretty decent sized free agent class this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you have your shortstops, Turner, Bogarts. Bogarts is someone who I'm really, really interested to see where he winds up.
Yeah.
That should be really interesting because I don't understand why it's kind of funny to me. Like if you heard about what is coming out of Boston with Chaim and these guys, their biggest target was Jose Abreu. Now, what does that say to your guys on the left side of the infield, like Devers and Bogarts? That doesn't exactly bode well. I mean, you already have a guy like Hosmer, and you have him under control at first base. So if you're Boston and you're like, oh, our main guy out of city or whatever, our main guy was Jose Abreu. I mean, that doesn't really bode well if you're, if you're Bogarts or your Devers. I think they do sign Devers, but Bogarts I think is gone. So, but that's my thing. It's like there are some great free agents out there. Do you think there are going to be teams that skip this free agent class, like you said, Deb? And like you said, Rocco. I mean, to sign or hopefully sign Ohtani next year. So, I mean, that's a really weird thing, man. I mean, like, did the Dodgers pass on Judge? Did they pass on Verlander? I don't think they would pass on either because the Dodgers have more money than God.
Right.
They print money.
They're willing to spend more money than God.
And how much money came off of their books?
Right.
That's the thing. So they can sign everybody. I don't know what that was, but I guess that means my time is up. The music playing.
Look, there's pressure from the Players Association. There's pressure from the various different teams. I on the one hand, one is envious of all these players who are in a position to make a stupendous amount of money. On the other hand, I don't know. The discussions they must be having with their agents are kind of complicated at this stage. Anyway.
A lot of it's gonna come to fruition next week at the winter meetings. When Scott Boras walks around. Last time I was at the winter meetings, and I think it was San Diego, whatever. I mean, he was standing there with a bottle of water in his back pocket, looking like the Cheshire Cat. You know why? Because he got Garrett Cole. He got all these guys to make. He basically on commission made about $500 million. So, I'm not exactly sure how many of these guys he's representing, but it's really strange to me. I mean, I think Trey Turner is a CAA guy. I'm not positive, but I mean, like that, it's weird to me when these guys, when you're dealing with that amount of money, you look at not Seager. Did I say Seager? I meant Trey Turner.
No, you
said Turner.
Okay. Well, I was thinking about Corey Seager last year, and look at what he got from Texas. And look at what they gave Semien. Is that sustainable? I mean, do you think that kind of contract is sustainable? And do you think that, it's just bizarre to me. So Deb, I wanted to ask you, back on you.
Sure.
Is that kind of contract sustainable? And are the Yankees going to do something like that with Judge? Like, we had all read 8 for, 400?
300.
300. All right. 8 for 300. So what's $40 million a year? AAV. That's a lot of fucking money.
It is.
That's a lot of money. Does he turn that down for one more year? I don't think he does. I think he's insane if he does. And his representation is not Boris. It's not CAA. I forget the guy's name, but it's like it's a family that.
Yeah, it's not Boris. Yeah.
I think he takes it. I really do. Who's going to offer him something better than that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Wayne, I'm interested in your thoughts because you were a player and you did have an agent who was actually representing you at the time. But I'll just quickly say the issue, I think, for me is looking at baseball as a whole. The rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. The teams that just can't afford these kinds of contracts are just not going to be able to compete at a certain point. Luxury tax or no luxury tax. But anyway, Wayne, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, it's a lot. Yeah, I think, when teams aren't able to spend, you got to hope that you have an organization like the Rays where they just put together teams year after year that competes.
Kernan's here.
I'm a fan of, doing the cap, because the NBA seems to work well in the NBA. I always thought it worked well. And I was like, how do they make it work?
It's a weird thing. I mean, it's a weird thing. I mean, I do believe there should be a salary floor. Oh my God, we have someone calling in. For the first time ever, we have a caller. Ladies and gentlemen.
First caller.
It's our first caller ever. Kevin from Florida is here.
Hope he's not naked.
I know that guy.
Kevin Kernan, how are you, brother? And I don't see you, so.
Well, I think Kevin, whether or not we can see you, we certainly will appreciate hearing your voice as we're about to get to the question of Don Mattingly signing as the bench coach.
I don't know if he's really there, though.
Yeah, I don't know why you don't see me.
You want to try that one again?
It's probably your screwed up thing you sent me. Okay.
What? It's a screwed up thing.
Well, I did it. Okay, I'll sign it.
Do you want to try hitting it again? I don't know. Is your video on this thing? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kevin from Florida.
Kevin's going to retry, but before we get to Kevin, I guess the big news today, as far as Yankees in particular are concerned, is the fact that Don Mattingly has signed elsewhere to be the bench coach, and in fact within the Yankees division with the Toronto Blue Jays. And we know what happened with the Blue Jays manager last year. He was fired mid-season, and the manager position seems to be iffy at this point. So the question is whether bench coach means eventually manager of the Blue Jays. And I know, Chris, you've been fuming all day about this, so let's start with you. If we can get to Kevin, that would be fantastic.
No rush. Go.
Once again, there's Kevin, and yes, I have been fuming about this all day because it is another move that has just shown the god dang Yankees front office as being inept in running off players. I mean, what happened 2 days ago? Oh, you know what happened 2 days ago? Oh, look, Don Mattingly and Derek Jeter might be voices on the Yes Network. Yeah, really? And I like what you said to me on the phone earlier, Deb, was that do you really think this is gonna make Jeter want to come and do that? No, I don't. It was a brilliant move by the Blue Jays, and they got themselves a great bench coach, probably one of the best in the league. And apparently you said Mattingly, and I pissed off Wayne enough that he disappeared. Oh, there he is. But I mean, the guy was, I'll never forget going with Rocco after middle school to the card store across the street. Wasn't that your uncle's store?
No, right, but his was in Silver Lake.
Oh, God. Okay. He was the Silver Lake one? Yeah. But you remember the one across from the middle school on Washington Avenue?
Absolutely.
We would go there after school, and we figured, we would buy Ferraris by now by getting a Don Mattingly 84 Donruss. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So he was the only reason to watch the Yankees when I grew up in the 80s. I mean, there was Rickey, there was Winfield, there were some great players, but this one, I mean, he was the captain of the Yankees when I grew up. To see him go and sit on a freaking bench as the bench coach, not even a manager. It's like, you couldn't find a spot for him, Hal, and you morons. Kevin, please take over because I'm going to blow a gasket.
I'm not surprised. I mean, in 2007, they had a chance to make a manager, and Brian Cashman didn't. So what's changed? But, Brian Cashman has more power. Hal Steinbrenner has more power. George was still around back then, and the Yankees really don't. They can talk all they want about tradition, but Mattingly never fit in their plans, which says a lot. And he's managed everywhere else. He's coached other places. So this is just another example of the Yankees being the Yankees. So it's not shocking at all to me. And it gives the Blue Jays. I think what he could bring to the Blue Jays is pretty interesting because I think that team lacked a little bit of understanding
100%
how to play the game the right way, and by that I mean, let's not put too much energy into putting jacket on after a home run. That's all great. It's fun. All that's great. And I have I'm not the old man yelling at clouds. I don't care. Matter of fact, I wrote a column for you tomorrow about Dion Rich. It's going to be, you're going to love it. It's a fun
nice.
When sports was fun. He just died recently in San Diego. Dion's was a great guy, a good friend through the years. If anybody doesn't know his story, he's the greatest gate crasher of all time. But he also did a lot of baseball gate crashing, I'll leave the story for itself, but it's all about when sports were a lot more fun back then. In the days that you were and Rocco were just talking about, you loved it. They don't care. They don't care about you guys. I've said it all along. The Yankees don't care about their fans, and whether it's a good fit or not, and you can debate that. Don Mattingly should be in pinstripes if he's looking for work. It's really that simple.
Well, I mean, how many times, Kevin, I mean, over the years, how many times have you spoken to Mattingly when he was in pinstripes? But, and then, of course, when he, went to Miami, I mean, how many times have you spoken to him? And, I mean, the guy knows baseball. The guy, he's Don Mattingly.
Right, and I think with the shift changes, I don't want to get too crazy here with everything, but, he hit for power. He hit all.
He did everything. Checked all the boxes.
He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should be on that list. I don't know if he'll make that list. We'll see what happens. Munson should be on that list. Talking about the Yankees.
Yes, absolutely.
I have a theory about Munson that the guys like Fisk and Bench could maybe speak up more for him. That's what I'd love to see. But that's another story.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Mattingly
do you think Fisk in Munson's animosity? Do you think that kind of?
I don't know if there is. I don't know if there is. Players from that era could be funny like that, but there's no doubt. And I did a story a while back about the 10-year window of Munson. It was unbelievable.
You did for us, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing, and he had. This is what I don't understand. He had. The poor guy was killed, so it's not like he had any control of his career.
Yeah. So, he didn't just retire.
Why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? So between Mattingly, Munson, things going on, this is just the big question is this the first shoe that drops, a small shoe compared to Aaron Judge moving on somewhere? So we'll see if that happens.
Oh God, okay.
And we were just talking about Aaron Judge and the commitment of the Yankees to their former players and to their current and former players. And the rumor, and Kevin, I'm sure you're aware of this, the rumor last week had been that both Jeter and Mattingly were in conversations with the Yes Network to become broadcasters for them. Clearly, Mattingly has chosen not to do that. The question, I guess there's still an outstanding. Sorry?
No, he wasn't involved in the game. He wasn't going to talk about it.
Sorry?
He wants to be involved in the game.
He wants to be involved in the game and not just talk about it. I think that's right. I don't know what level of involvement Jeter would be interested in at this point, but the boon to the Yankees of having Jeter on their broadcasts.
The boon.
No pun intended.
That's funny.
Pun chosen intentionally. It's probably far beyond actually what the boon to them of re-signing Judge would be, in my estimation, but long term. But it's interesting because if they really aren't invested in their former players, and at this point, like it or not, Judge is a former player till he gets re-signed. Yeah. If they're really not invested and Judge gets a good enough offer from Dodgers, Giants, or elsewhere, we could see him leave.
I wouldn't blame him. I would not blame him.
I've said all along that he might. I kind of.
Kevin, you've been saying, Giants since day one.
Simply because of being home, but that's a big offer the Yankees have on the table. Let's not overlook that. They are pretty big on the table for him. The question Judge has to decide, and this is what I want to make clear, and I'll let you guys fill in, but Judge has to figure out what's the best place for him now to get back to the postseason. And of course, the Astros make another great move, signing Abreu.
Huge.
To me, this is the irony here, everybody. And Deb, by the way, you do a good job. I enjoyed listening to you. And but isn't it something that what's going on with the Yankees now and everything else that if Judge goes home, which you can't blame him for, what are the Yankees going to do then? And because Judge has to decide where can I win the most. Where can I get a chance to win the World Series?
That's LA. It's LA. It's LA.
It is LA, but
it's LA.
LA may not spend that kind of money, to be honest with you. So they have other options. Yeah. So if he thinks he can do it with the Giants, that's taking on a big thing. But one thing I know about Aaron Judge from all my years with him, he's not afraid of any challenge. And I think he would actually relish the challenge of something new, as opposed to going back to the Yankees and try to finish the job. I mean, either way, he's going to be fine. I mean, he's going to be fine financially, whatever.
He's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, but he'll also play well. He'll play well. But
well, that's the thing, Kevin. I wanted to ask you.
I
mean, that's something I wanted to ask you, Kevin. I was like, you've known him since he's come up, and you've covered him since he came up, and you know him as well as anybody. I mean, way better than us, and you know what kind of guy he is, and and you've said it to me privately, and you've said it. The guy wants to win. Guy wants to win, and he loves baseball, and he loves his job. I mean, he's not some douche like Josh Donaldson that's just going to go wherever he can go and strike out and not care. This guy cares. He cares, and that's a really, really big thing. And if the Yankees lose him, not only is he their moneymaker, and as you wrote in a column, like, well, you can build the judges' chambers anywhere, which you did, and I thought that was hilarious, but it's true, because what are you going to do with the judges' chambers if he does leave? Make it like the risotto.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Campari tier or whatever. I don't know, but I mean, you did mention that, and him, better. You know him as a person, and to me, I'm very, very curious about, I mean, like, do you think does he want, him better than anybody? Does he want to be a Yankee? Does he just want to win? Because I don't think he's going to win with the Yankees right now. And I'm sorry, and I hate to say that.
That's the question he's got to ask. The Giants. I have a lot of questions about the Giants.
Well, are the Giants going to win?
That's what I'm saying.
That's a bigger question than whether the Yankees will.
That's a huge question. Yeah.
And I see Wayne shaking his head. Wayne, why are you shaking your head?
Well, it's not the Brian Sabian Giants. It's not Bruce Bochy in there. So I don't think they're going to win. I don't think.
Yeah, they're not going to win.
I don't think the Gabe Kapler Giants are going to win.
I don't think so.
You know what? Dave Roberts, Dodgers might win, and they just cleared about $150 million in payroll. So,
yes, but as I wrote in one of my columns, the Dodgers do not have a history of winning over the past decade. They've won exactly one World Series.
Well, they're always going to be dem bums, aren't they? They're always.
Something goes wrong. So it's not just a matter of payroll.
The Brooklyn Robins, of course.
It's not just a matter of payroll. They were one of the 3 teams that had a bye this season and did not advance in any event.
Well, you know what?
One team that had a bye, right? The Astros actually advanced.
That's the only bye team that did advance.
That's exactly right. It's not just a matter of payroll. There's a lot more in question. But Wayne, I really am interested in your thoughts. Because Wayne is the former player of this quintet we have here, and his perspective is different than any of ours.
Well,
sorry to
one thing for sure. No, it's okay. Like, one thing for sure, San Francisco, they're not ready to win. I don't even think Judge puts them over their top. But what if the Giants were to go after someone like him and Dansby Swanson? I think now we'd be talking. Now we'd be talking, but I'd like to see the Yankees just get Judge there, and then bring in a guy like Correa for a shorter deal.
Really?
Correa's made for that stage, man. He loves that stuff.
More than 100 games a year, though.
But he loves that stuff. He loves that kind of stuff.
He does.
That's his stage, man. Like he
likes that stage.
Then what do you do with the kids? What do you do with the kids? As Kevin, you wrote this.
You trade him for pitching.
Look,
the Yankees have always done that.
You cannot hold up to these kids this long and then all of a sudden trade them for pitching.
They've always done that.
I like what Kevin, what you wrote the other day was like, you know what? Hey, we're going to show faith in our kids. Hey, here's Volpe, here's Peraza, and here's $6 million for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Yeah,
I mean, I like what you wrote about that. That does not exactly put a shitload of confidence into
that did seem weird. That did seem weird. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, how they managed Peraza after they brought him up last season. This past season, that was definitely left some very big questions.
I agree. So I mean, Kevin, I'd like to ask you that one because you did write about it, and I know you were speaking to people about this.
Well, the other thing is, who's watching all that? Aaron Judge is watching that too.
Absolutely.
Wondering, I think Aaron Judge is the kind of guy who wants younger players around him that he can help develop. So I think it's important. I think it's important for Judge to have those players playing and then go from there. To me, it's a no-brainer to go with the kids. Volpe should have been up. I know he's young, but he could have been up this year. And Peraza,
Peraza should have been up already.
I don't know what they have either, and that's a scary thing. And I know a lot of their scouting people, and obviously Damon Oppenheimer. He drafted these guys. They know they can play. What the Yankees have a weird, and I'll leave it at this. The Yankees have a weird development system where they sometimes change guys from what they do best, and it takes a while. And I think that's what happened with Volpe for a little bit. They kind of changed his swing or did some things with him, and they don't really have the faith in their own young players that they need to have. And you can even go all the way back to Judge. Did they have the faith in Judge?
You're right.
Kind of came out of nowhere.
You're right. Absolutely.
I never on him. He was clear that he was going to do well, but they didn't exactly make it easy for him. And we can just go all the way back. Florial, the third baseman, left fielder. Everybody they don't develop them. They don't continue to develop them. And that may bring us back to our singular Mattingly point. Wouldn't it be nice to have Mattingly around, maybe to help these kids develop?
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, just even, look, he doesn't need to be the manager. If you want to have Aaron Boone, be there, the media, liaison, whatever the hell it is that he does. Yeah, fine. But, Kevin, what you just brought up, it's funny. It's right before COVID. Actually, it was a couple years before COVID. I'm lying. I was down in Tampa. My uncle Richie and myself were at spring training, and this giant comes up to bat. I had never seen him before, and I'm like, "Who the hell is that?" And my uncle knows everything about the Yankees. He's a retired guy, so he just, he knows everything about the Yankees. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up, first pitch. I had never heard a ball hit a bat like that before in my life. Smoked one down the line as a double. I'm like, who is this giant and can run that fast? And I was like, I've never heard that. And my uncle turns around and is like, that's Aaron Judge. He's your next Mickey Mantle. I'm like, holy shit. All right. Well, thank you. And, it took 2 years until he got to the majors. And that's what I mean. It's like, why do teams, Jeremy Pena, for example, why does he come up and all of a sudden
I can answer that really
in the world?
Dusty Baker was the difference. He was
He
made Jeremy Pena into Jeremy Pena because he gave him confidence, faith. He fought with the Nerds about batting him second because the Nerds don't like to have that kind of hitter second.
I love what you said about that. That's true.
Yeah, and so
who got fired? Click, not Dusty.
Yeah, well, and also Jim Crane has proven maybe to be the best GM in baseball. That's it's a joke, but it's true. So I think the Nerds, and I know Wayne kind of leans towards nerdism, so he can.
No, Wayne doesn't. Oh God, I'm not. You know what? I'm going to turn around.
If anybody here leans toward nerdism, it's me.
But seriously, I think the Astros have what they do, and I want to boil it into one sentence. The Astros get baseball players, and they do baseball things, and they win series. So it's you can cry all you want, Yankee fans, about the cheating from 2017, but just look at Bregman, Pena, all these guys, and I'm really curious to see who they get for they may get another outfielder.
They're going to get Benintendi, which I think is going to be hysterical.
Yeah,
very possible.
Which is fine by me. Look, I know the Yankees need a left-handed contact hitter, but is Benintendi the guy? I don't know. He's a complementary piece.
That's a great place to play too. I think we can't overlook that. Yankees are a great place to play, and I'm not getting into this because I wasn't there and I don't know for sure. There was some talk about Judge being upset, and certainly his family being upset with him getting booed. And if you think about it, and if you step back and look at that. If you're booing a guy who had 62 home runs, then I
couldn't believe it.
1,000% with Judge.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Robbie, you should jump in there because you're a Mets fan. Mets fans would never do that.
I booed David right before. I'll admit to that.
You filthy bastard.
That's about as low as you can get as a Mets fan.
You booed David Wright?
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Oh, that's
At some
rough.
point.
Well, wait, you know what? I don't mind. Deb, I'm sorry. I know you're still steering the ship, but hold on. I got one for Wayne. Do you really like the Nerds? I'm kidding. I know you do.
What about him?
Don't put him on the spot.
You can put me
I'll
on the
take
spot.
that
What
one.
about him?
He doesn't. I know he doesn't. He's
What
he's like
aspect?
us. He's one of us. He does not.
What aspect?
Well, I think he has a leaning toward. Yeah, I don't think all the nerds are bad. I want to make that clear.
Right.
Yeah, but I think Wayne is kind of more on our. I don't know. I don't mean to speak for you, but
nerds as in baseball junkies who know the
all
game.
right, look. Hold on. Okay.
If they know the game, yeah, I'm all about it. But
Yeah,
they're
well,
just nerds with
how about
nerds
this?
with a
How about-
calculator and a computer and a
course
damn
not.
whatever.
Of course not. Wayne, you're a coach. You coach kids. You know
Right.
what the hell you're doing.
Yep.
But I mean, okay, here's something funny that I was thinking about this week. Or actually this week, all the Astros fans got really, really angry about Jeff Bagwell coming out and saying Brad Ausmus would be a great addition to the front office. And everybody
true.
came out.
It's true.
Of course he would. Of
It's
course he
it's
would.
true.
Of course he
Brad's
would.
a smart human being.
Yes, of course. Guy went to Dartmouth. Of course he
Yeah.
would. He is an Ivy League guy, but he also was a hell of a catcher. So, I mean, the guy's got everything. I mean, that's boom. That ticks all the boxes. And you know what the Astros fans were complaining about, which I thought was hysterical? You can't bring in this ball player and try and replace an analytics department with. Wait a minute. You literally have a guy who, and Brad Ausmus, knows the game. He's a baseball man
Yes.
who happened to go to Dartmouth. And you're going to, that's the disconnect to me between fans and
Right.
nerds. And it doesn't make sense. You have a guy who's literally like right there in the middle, nerds, fans, Brad Ausmus. And yeah, you know what? Maybe he didn't take the Tigers to a World Series, but nobody could have. Casey Stengel could not have taken that team to a
Got to
World
have the players first.
Series. He had a shit team. And then all of a sudden they stick him with a shitty Angels team. Brad Ausmus is one of the most intelligent baseball people out there. And he's not good enough for the nerds. So now that is something I want to talk about. And I'll let you guys talk about it because that's all I got to say. Go ahead. You guys.
I'm going to respond to that because I do believe in analytics and the use of analytics, but within context. So it's if you truck out analytics as the answer to every single baseball question, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
The answer to every single baseball question. But there's a reason that every single team at this point has at least some kind of an analytics office at this point. Some teams it's a larger office. Some teams it's a smaller office. A couple of years ago, the Baltimore Orioles had exactly 2 analytics people. Count that, 2.
Yeah.
And look what the Orioles are slowly turning into. So that shows that success is not necessarily predicated on having a huge, 30-man or 30-person, I should say, analytics office. However, that being said, so much of even the rule changes these days are predicated on the analytics and what the analytics are showing, that if you don't understand the analytics at all, you probably can't maneuver around the rules and you can't use them to your advantage. And this is true through the minor league systems into the majors. So, if the shift changes, then you have to have some maneuverability around the shift changing and so forth. And, analytics does help with that. So, how do they measure who is actually an all-star? How do they measure who's actually MVP worthy? Well, analytics are used to some extent for that. It's not just the eye test. But
I agree.
I agree.
But also at the same time, who is doing the measuring?
Well,
and that's kind of a huge thing. I mean, these kids that have only started following baseball 5 years ago are going to say Brad Ausmus is not a good addition.
Well, no, that's obviously ridiculous.
That's unfair. And I think it makes no sense.
So a couple of years ago, the reason I mentioned the Orioles.
Kernan, where did he go to?
I don't know. We lost him. Anyway,
So we start talking about analytics, and they split.
There he goes.
Wait, hold on.
There he is. Dial back in. So the reason I mentioned the Orioles is that when I was up in Baltimore a couple of years ago,
they're going to be a great team, by the way.
I was staying at a hotel for a couple of days because I don't actually live in Baltimore. I live a couple hours away, in traffic, and I happened to run into a guy there who was doing contract analytics work for the Orioles. So obviously most of what he and I talked about had to remain completely anonymous, and
this is unbelievable.
Couldn't provide any real details about what he was doing and any names of players and prospects and so forth. But they were building their analytics capabilities, and at that point, some of the work that they were doing was contracted out. And this person was helping them select among their prospects as to whom to move through the minor league systems up into the majors. That was one of his roles as a contractor, to rebuild the team based partially on the analytics that were being observed in their minor league system. It was a fascinating conversation. And obviously, whatever they've done has been successful because they're starting to compete. And this conversation, as I said, was only a couple of years ago. So, I think every single team, if they're smart about it, can use analytics to some extent. It's a question of how, when, and where.
What's happening here? Everybody's just getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, I think people are having trouble with the connection.
Oh, they'll find us. It's what? The nerves are getting us. That's what's happening. But no, you're right. You're absolutely 100% correct. And it's, I don't know. Have we overstayed our welcome that all of a sudden we're starting to get kicked off, or I don't know what's happening.
No, I don't think that's what it is.
There's Kern and Wayne's over there in a black box. I don't know what's happening. I mean,
yeah, you guys just have me on my head.
So that's what I mean. Like, we've all been knocked out by the nerds, and it's too much information, and that's what happens. And it's really interesting
we can
said
move on.
about that, though. But okay. Look, it's, you get every Yankee fan under the age of 23 right now, right? And they're like, no, it's not analytics. It's like, no, it's not we don't need baseball people. That is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. I'm sorry, but it is. No, these people think, you bring baseball guys in and they're going to fix everything. Yeah, well, not for nothing. The Astros brought baseball guys in, fucking won the World Series hands down against a team that brought baseball guys in and also made it to the World Series. I am so tired of trying to change this game for this group of kids that don't like the game. They don't like the game as it is. We're supposed to change it for them? And I'm sorry, but am I wrong? I don't care.
You're obviously talking.
My Christmas miracle is this. Go ahead, Kevin.
No,
I hate it. I hate it.
You're talking about the commissioner, obviously. He doesn't like the game.
Well, the fish rots from the head, Kevin. We all know that. But but think about it. If you're online and you're like, oh, baseball's boring. We need bat flips. We need guys giving each other the finger. That's fun. How is that fun? It's been the same game for 160 years, and now all of a sudden it has to change for these fucking kids that are on Ritalin or whatever the hell they're on. Seriously, with no attention span, I think we killed Wayne. But
Wayne, you just turned upside down.
Yeah,
Wayne
trying to fix everything.
I know this is a little deep. But no, seriously, why in the hell do we need, why in the world, look, this is a much deeper conversation than baseball, but why does everything need to change for these kids with no freaking attention span over the 30 seconds that they see on TikTok? I'm serious. Why does any,
Rocco.
I'm telling you, I don't know. I was talking with Kreindler and Jay Caldwell today about their book that they wrote, about the Negro Leagues. And we're talking from 1850 on, and it's the history behind it, which is, what I love, but why does everything need to change for these kids? And is that really going to save the game? Guys, go around with that because
Well, I would say, Rocco, let's start with you because you've been awfully silent and we haven't let you get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, I mean, the game changes. It always does. And you look back through history and it changes. Somebody saw a clip on.
Does it change like this? And
No,
I'm drinking
not
a polar
this-
seltzer.
This is
You're
why I
making me
can't get a
drink
word in.
seltzer.
No, it doesn't change it. I don't feel like it's changed as fast as it has in the past 5 to 10 years. But like I was saying, there's a clip was going around on Twitter of Honus Wagner on basically his deathbed, interviewing him, complaining about the players of today don't do this and they don't respect the game and they're being too fancy. And he's talking about players in the 1940s and 50s.
That argument has always been there.
It's
That
always been
argument has
there.
always
The
been
game's always changed.
But the game remained the same.
I'm done.
Mind you. He's pissed.
Well, you cut him off.
Oh, please. I've known a guy for 40 years.
Wayne, what are your thoughts with respect to the game today?
I mean, I like it. I think, different philosophies, that's what makes teams different. How they think they're going to win, just it's kind of that thing where, if you're more of just a plain baseball team or manager or whatever against a team that's predominantly a analytics team, it's going to be a battle. Okay, then shut us up. That's the kind of thing. And, I think the best team is a team that's just built for the philosophy of the team, more or less. I don't argue either way. I just don't appreciate non-baseball people running baseball teams or the game in general. I think it dilutes the game a bit, if not a lot. But this is going to be argued forever. I'm sure 20 years from now, this generation is going to be pissed about something that the new generation is doing or whatever. But I think baseball should be played, the way you're taught. I just don't know if, banning the shift is a good thing. But I mean, I could go on for days. If you just give me a topic, I could talk for days about any little thing. But I am not about, pitching, for example. We all saw what happened in 2020, with the Rays against the Dodgers. But, that was just a simple, just stupid baseball move. I mean, I'm sure Kevin Cash knows that. He's a baseball guy. But
you think that came from him?
No, it couldn't have.
Oh.
It could not have.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, in your best interest right there, that's where, if they called down and say to get him out or whatever, I should get back on the phone and say, no, this guy's going to win this game for us.
You're on the mound and they tried to take you out.
Yeah, you can fire me after this game.
You lost your mind?
You can fire me after this game. That's what I would have told him.
Nice.
If I'm wrong, you can fire me after the game.
Yeah.
He would have gotten another job, and he'd be a hero.
Yeah, I think Dusty has picked up the mantle of doing it in a baseball way, and that's what I
Yes.
want. Really, I don't want to make it too simple, but that's what happened.
It is simple. I mean,
No,
isn't that the
absolutely
thing? Like, keep it simple. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dusty, the Phillies made some wacky, and I love Rob Thompson, known forever.
yeah, no, me too.
But he made some, the point I make about the big lefty reliever, you bring him in to face Alvarez again for the fourth time. So the Nerds
What's his face? Yeah.
the Nerds want to have it both ways. They want to have, the starters can't face the lineup for the third time through, but a reliever in a short series can face the same guy 4 times. It makes no sense. So Dusty called their bullshit on stuff, and he had to fight every day. I know for a fact he had to fight every day. Crane eventually sided with him, and now he's moving from a position of power, and you got Bagwell making his statements. We'll see if they can repeat. No one's repeated since 2000 in the Yankees, but I give the Astros a pretty good chance. So I think the pendulum is slowly. I'll leave it with this: the pendulum is slowly going back. Bochy's going to be a big thing, and I think Wayne, you can.
Yes.
That's right.
If Bochy,
Did you play for Bochy, Wayne?
They've made some good things too. They've made some good They've hired some people. They just hired. They just made another hire. They got some baseball people in charge. So we'll see where that goes with the Rangers. All depends who they get pitching wise, but the Rangers seem to be doing some interesting things.
Yeah.
Isn't
Got Service too in Seattle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Service said, I've known him a long time. Very arrogant guy.
Yeah.
Very arrogant.
Yeah.
Same thing with Poto, but in a way, and I respect it. In a way, you got to be arrogant. So don't take that as a negative.
No.
But again, he got a little stubborn too. Bringing in Robbie Ray to pitch to Alvarez. Whatever
that was the worst move ever.
A terrible, exactly. That's one of the worst moves ever. So what we're seeing is the people who kind of keep it in the baseball rhythm maybe win. And if you try to outsmart the game, you will be outsmart.
There is a flow to the game, and there is instinct is so big, and experience is your instinct.
Yeah.
And I don't think enough people understand that. You can't just throw a number at me and say, well, this number says, I'm like, don't give a rat's ass what this number says. I know what I'm seeing. It's just like sometimes things supersede what the numbers say. A baseball person sees things. You just can't.
I always had a saying with and I would do this in spring training, or I would do it late in the year when something like this would develop. Back when we had really great access to managers, I would say if I'm sitting with Service, I would say, okay, here's the situation. You got a chance to win the biggest game that you've played in 20 years or whatever it is. And here's what you might do. You might bring in a guy who never relieved to face their best hitter in a game where you're winning by a couple of runs. Do you think you might do that? And they'll say, of course not. I'm not going to do that. But that's exactly what they did. I call it the keep it simple, stupid rule. If you set them down, are you going to do? Will you actually think of doing this? They'll look at you like, "What? Are you crazy?" But that's exactly what they do because they get talked into it by the numbers.
Well, I mean,
good idea.
What happened? What happened with Cleveland when they didn't pitch Shane Bieber in Game 5 against the Yankees?
Incredible. All you need to know.
That was a shocker to me.
Every time, and Deb, every time I hear about the Cleveland organization is so damn smart, I'm tired of it. Stop it. You started Aaron Savali in Game 5 at the Yankee Stadium.
Aaron Savali, exactly.
Are you kidding
that
me?
was
And that game was over, by the time Stanton got done with his at-bat. So
it was a very un-Tito move, by the way.
Well, it wasn't Tito.
I don't think it was his decision.
No, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. It was a very un-Tito move, and you know that didn't get from him. By the way, Rocco wants to say goodbye to everyone. He's closing on his condo in the morning, and he's like, I couldn't deal with fucking you people talking about Yankees anymore. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, fair enough. Good luck, Rocco.
I think he was mad at you, not us.
Yeah,
you guys gotta make up.
Yes, 40 years of it, Kevin. Don't worry about it. So it's fine. So Deb, I'm gonna let you go around and close this one out since you hosted.
Since I kind of hosted.
Oh, you did. Well, you know what I mean. I told you could do these without me. I mean, it's totally fine.
Okay, well, let's just go.
As long as it's not about the Rangers. If you start talking about the Rangers and not the Texans,
I don't talk about hockey on baseball broadcasts.
No, you could.
Not really.
Talk about the Devils.
I watched that Ranger Devil game the other day, Deb.
Oh,
that was. Let's not even talk about that.
Look, the
Let's
Devils.
not talk about that.
We can end it on that. The Devils actually played a period and a half. That's it. That's all they played. They looked terrible and it was one of their worst games in a long time. And luckily, they played a team that only played for 10 minutes. But that's all.
Something like that.
Yeah, more.
Certainly didn't play for the middle 20. But in any event.
True. Anyway.
Final thoughts. Wayne, we'll start with you. Final thoughts before we close this out.
Yeah, real quick. I think the tide is starting to turn a little bit. You're seeing more baseball guys, quote unquote, coming back into the game, like a Bochy is taking over in Texas, and guys like him. I think you're going to see a lot of that. It's so funny that it took a guy like Dusty Baker to win a World Series. All right, maybe there is something to these baseball guys, But somehow Mattingly is a bench coach. But anyway,
well, at least the Blue Jays realize that Mattingly is a baseball guy. Got to give them credit for that.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a betting guy, but since everyone bets, what's the over/under? He's the manager by August.
It depends on whom they put in the manager's seat this year. I don't think they've named anybody yet, have they?
He's still interim, right, Kevin?
I
think he's got a 3-year deal.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think so. I could be
Wow,
wrong.
that was impressive.
Really? I'm shocked.
Yeah, I am too.
But I don't think Mattingly wants to manage, to be honest with you. I think he wants to see, I think he's a little frustrated by what's been going on, and he wants to teach some baseball.
That could be.
A good point.
He's in the right place to do it. I mean, do you think? I mean, it's I hate to ask this, but I mean, do you think he kind of brings a little calm to what seems to be a little bit of an insane dugout? And
You mean discipline?
discipline? Yeah.
Discipline.
I mean, do you think these guys want to listen?
Yeah. Oh,
Well, I don't think they're going to have much choice.
too much respect for that guy.
Good point.
And you know what? A lot of times, bench coaches, they're underappreciated because a lot of times they're the brains in that dugout.
Yeah.
They're the guy.
I was around Ron Wotus one year with the Giants, and
He's good.
he's one of the best baseball guys I've ever known in my whole life.
Brilliant.
Should have been a manager.
Should have been a manager.
100%.
Well,
Kevin, final thoughts before we close out? We've got about 4 minutes left here.
Sure. Oh yeah, God, we've been an hour.
It's a simple thought, really. I think I don't think this off season really starts until Judge signs. It's almost like they say a series doesn't start until you win a game on the road. I really think the same thing about all this other off-season stuff that's happening. It's all kind of interesting and everything, but until Judge signs, I think nothing means nothing. I mean, he really controls baseball that much now.
Yeah,
he is the game, and it's really, even for me, it's hard. It's hard for me to wrap around some idea right now until Judge signs, because then once Judge signs, everything else is going to fall into place. You'll see the Trey Turners go to Philly. You'll see things will happen, and I think it'll feel like a good offseason. So I'm hoping that. And again, he's waited all these years for this. And one final point on the Yankees: they could have signed him 2-3 years ago. I've said it many times.
Yes.
We had our little joke.
You've been saying it for a while.
In spring training,
Me too.
He's signed by the Yankees yet? And he laughed. Goes, come on, Kevin, they're the Yankees. They don't do that. So I can see him pushing the limit to as long as it takes, because he really wants to make sure this decision is right. But in my heart of hearts, I still feel that he's gonna go to the Giants, unless the Giants screwed up, and that's very capable, because of you're talking about a team that walks around the outfield with their shoes off before a game. Let's work.
It is San Francisco after all.
And it's not even Berkeley.
Things here, and I also think, and this is a curious thought I just had. I thought about it earlier today. I think Judge might enjoy playing in that big of a ballpark because of the hitter he is. And Wayne, as a pitcher, just real quickly, I want you to address that. Good hitters may not always be looking for that short porch. They may be looking for more space. And all of a sudden, he's making triples and doing this and that.
Yes,
So
I mean,
that's a thought of mine, too, with that ballpark.
Yeah, because a short porch, where you're not going to get. The only thing about a short porch for him is that it tells him, okay, they're not going to pitch me this way.
Right.
But when you got that space, your extra base hits go up. The slugging, that's your slugging percentage. So
Yeah.
He could be a more dangerous hitter.
And he can hit the ball out of that park at night. I mean, it's not. He's as strong as Barry was.
And just like Chris and Rocco were talking about Mattingly, let's not forget this. Judge grew up with Barry Bonds being the man.
Right.
I was out there all those years, and those fans, those 10, 12-year-old kids were much like you guys when you were getting your baseball cards. So I could see, and Barry is beloved there. So I could see. Yeah. I really, from a really, and this is the writer in me, from a writer's perspective, the Giants make a very fascinating pick for Aaron Judge.
Well,
interesting.
Chris, final thoughts?
My final thoughts are I just hope none of this happens, and I hope this is a bad dream and Don Mattingly winds up the manager of the New York Yankees. That's actually my final thought. No, I mean, I agree with Kevin. I think, I would not be surprised to see him in a 99 San Francisco jersey when we're talking about Judge. I mean, he is a literal giant anyway. I think it would look good on him. And and again, to address what Kevin just said, he could hit 330 in that park. He really could. He could. He's gap to gap, plenty of home runs. Maybe
Exactly
he only hits 40, but he can hit 330 gap to gap, huge park, lots of doubles. I know, Kevin, the double is your favorite. Wayne, I know you pitched there. So, I know I'd hate to see the Yankees let him go, but if the Yankees are just going to really kind of just show that they don't care that much, you know what? Good luck with, an outfield of Brandon Nimmo, Oswald Peraza, or Cabrera, whoever the hell, and, maybe Andrew Benintendi. You're in Harrison Bader.
Harrison Bader is going to be there.
Yeah, look, I like Bader. Like I told you, my in-laws are all huge Cardinals fans, so I love Bader, but I don't know. I would not be surprised to see him go, and I wouldn't blame him to go because they're not showing anything that they're going to build a better team while everybody else around the league is. And like I said, what Kevin said, it could be a good home for him. And he is kind of the face of baseball. And as much as I'd hate to see him go, I wouldn't blame him one freaking bit. So,
well, on that note, thank you everybody who tuned in. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. And we'll be back for more High Yanxiety another time.
Because something bad is going to happen this week that we'll be back. So just saying.
Yeah, when a decision's made, we'll be back.
Yes, we will.
True.
Deb, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
My pleasure. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.